Hi, I'm Anthony Ottawes and welcome to Adventures in 3D. I'm going to restart the entire tutorial series, include a lot of the new tools and techniques that I've learned, include all of the new stuff with AI, how it can help at every step of the way. Maybe it doesn't help as much as you think it might. There's still a lot of stuff for us to do, still knowledge to obtain. We're just going to walk back through everything, hopefully a little easier this time. If you watch the previous stuff, I think you'll be able to pick this up quicker. Hopefully it'll even be cooler this time around. Stick around. I will try to get the most important information to you as fast as possible, and then you can stick around for details as I walk through code and different things that I've done. Definitely watch long enough to try some stuff out. All of the new age of AI coding and AI image generation makes a huge difference for you and maybe get you started on your next project. All right, now that I'm reduced back down to my corner, let me walk you through briefly what we're going to be creating here. And this is just meant to get you started, get a little momentum, have fun with it. You can see I've got the orbit control, so I can actually move things around, zoom in and out, all that kind of stuff. Your typical things. I have a 2D overlay, so this shows you how you can do mix your 2D with 3D. I thought that was an important thing this time around. And you can see that I've got 3D text in here. Really easy to do also. Something I wanted to be able to show. Now I have no idea why clouds are in space, but I wanted to include them. I did think it at least added some depth and a little texture and movement to the screen, so I went ahead and threw it in there. And then there's a bunch of bloom effects there. So not all of this is necessary, but it's all included real quick, and it's easy to edit whether you want to take it out or build on top of it. To start with, you're going to want to grab the repo. So this is the repo I started out for everybody. It includes some things like VS Code instructions for MCP, some AI stuff, some AI rules. So if you want to start off with this, it should be a little easier than starting on your own. I'm going to try to keep this one as is. I had a problem with my first tutorial. I kept messing with it, and people couldn't follow the early tutorial because I had moved on. This one I should keep the same, or at least backwards compatible. So you're going to come into here, and this is Sudden Development web3d AI, and you're going to grab this code here, open up your VS Code, and we'll say clone repository. You're going to have a slightly different view when you first open VS Code, but go ahead and paste in that URL that you grabbed from GitHub, select where it's going to go, and yeah, say go ahead and open. You don't have to trust me, but you just go past that screen. So let's go over here and you say terminal, new terminal. And one of the first things you want to do is you're going to do an npm install. And what this does is it's going to take everything that's in the packages. These are the different packages that are used within the project, and it's going to install them locally because these are not in the repo. If you don't have Node.js installed, you're going to want to look up that first. So we'll just run a npm install. So now we should have everything running, or I'm sorry, enough to get it running. I've got all these steps in the README, so being able to do that npm install was first step. The next step, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my model.glb in this public folder. So I actually grabbed this spaceship from CG Trader. I love grabbing things from CG Trader. One of the best tips that was given to me on the Blender stuff was do not model everything. If you can find it really cheap and save yourself many hours of work, do that and then maybe modify it. But I'm going to put this in my public folder. I'm going to rename it to model.glb. If it's GLTF, you have to leave the GLTF, but rename it to model. And then what we want to do is we're in the parent directory here. We're going to run this command. And what this is going to do is it's going to create your JSX file in the proper place and match it up to your model.glb. That's done, and now I should have a model.jsx. Now what this is going to do is it looks inside your GLB, it finds all the objects, it throws them into a file that can be read by React 3 Fiber, connects them together. So now I should have everything I need to be able to do npm run dev. It's running, so then I can I can take a look at this, and you can see we've got our file here. So that's the basics of it. If you just want to get up and running, I'd actually recommend pausing now or coming back to this video later and get to this point, because it's fun and exciting when you can actually play with something, and then come back and work with the individual features that I'm going to show you next. So now I've got a bit of a split screen going so that you can see kind of the impact that things have as we edit them. We are going to, I'm going to reduce this down to only exactly what you need for the model. So if I remove all of this, I'm going to leave the camera and the orbit controls in there. We're going to leave the ambient light in there, but I'm going to take out the point light. We'll take out the cloud, the stars, don't need the effects. And I just want you to see how simple this gets. Right, we'll save this. And now you can see we've just got ambient light. We're going to increase the intensity. All right, now it's terrible, but you can see what you've got here. Common mistake I've run into is you will import your model and not have a light. If your scene did not have any lights that were imported, then this is what you get. So you want to make sure that you have a light in there, at least so you can see what you're working with. Maybe later you downgrade its intensity and add in some different kind of lights, or maybe they're in your scene. The camera is just a starting position. When you have the orbit controls, it creates a separate camera. You can do both. The orbit controls is great in order to be able to explore your scene, but later if you decide I'm going to have more of a controlled environment, then you remove your orbit controls and you control your camera. That's it for this most basic version that you can play around with. This is all you need. Now I'd like to get into where AI comes in, and then I'll show you some features that I've done. Most of the features I actually added were by prompting AI, and I was really impressed and happy with how well it did it, but it's going to help to have this framework going first. So let's get into that. So what I'm using is called, it's Copilot. In GitHub Copilot, they now have an agent mode, which will just do stuff for you. It's pretty impressive. But if you don't give it the right information to work with, it's going to give you mixed results. So that's why I want to create this tutorial and this repo to help people out. All of these agent coding things have a way to provide them with some good context, like your latest libraries, your rules, and stuff like that. And this has the rules. We have Copilot instructions. Let me unclutter some stuff so you can see them. And in the Copilot instructions, it has links to the docs. It has some instructions to do things that are specifically helpful for React 3 Fiber. A lot of these were automatically generated. I actually let Copilot generate a lot of this, and then I read through it, edited it a little bit. But a lot of these come actually from the React 3 Fiber sites. So when the agent is coding and it's following these rules, it helps avoid a lot of the pitfalls that happen. When I first started with React 3 Fiber and didn't know what to do, I could probably still fall for some of these things, but having these rules and keeping a running tally of the rules can really help, especially with the agent coding. So that's included in a special file in the .github folder. GitHub Copilot will automatically pick that up. Another thing you might want to do is include the MCP server context 7, which has libraries for all of the libraries and documentations, examples. You might not need it with the Copilot instructions. You can look up context 7 MCP server separately and how to include that. It's going to require doing a .vs code folder, and then underneath that you will have your MCP server configuration. Let's look at what all the fuss is about on the AI coding. Believe it or not, I did almost everything here with an AI prompt. It included my overlay. It separated it into a separate component. It even chose the colors and the glow based on me telling it to create a a border overlay in cyberpunk colors. So I was pretty impressed in it doing that, and I told it I wanted to have text in all the different corners. You can see here we've got the overlay with the 4 different corners. You can mess with the text in each one. Nothing super fancy there, but to have something coded for you, it's pretty nice. It added the bloom for me. It added the clouds, the stars. Actually, I told it it was a space scene, and it decided to add the stars on its own. Pretty impressed with that, and even the text 3D. So let's think of something that we can add and see how it goes. We're just going to let AI help us figure something out based on a natural language description. We'll have it apply a float. And I'll just say, make the 3D model float in 3D space. I'm intentionally being vague. I want to see how well it does, finding the correct tag and applying it. So let's see, and we've got it in agent mode. I'm going to go ahead and set this to Gemini 2.5 Pro, and we'll see how it does. I mean, wow. It found float from Dre. I never told it to look at the Dre library, but I knew that's where it was. It wrapped my model in float, gave it its properties, and just generally did what I needed it to without me explaining how. Pretty impressive. I'm going to hit keep. If you didn't like the result, you can hit undo. Yeah, we'll hit keep, and the changes are made. Really, you can think of whatever you want at this point and see how it does. I think having the rules there really makes a big difference. It finds the stuff that it needs to find. We'll apply it based on your natural language description. So you can kind of get out of the details a little bit and be a little more of a director on how you want your scene to look. Now, this isn't going to help you too much when it comes to what models you're working with. You might want to spend some time in Blender or grab great models from CG Trader. Hey, on the coding part, it can help a lot. So I hope you found this interesting. I've got the Discord channel